and I was really kind of slightly directed into coaching by coaching individual co-workers, right? Really helping them being successful. Coaching, started coaching communication training, right? How do we want to interact with each other? That was always part of what I've been doing, starting huddle.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to 7 and 8 figures without burning out. Before Purple Circle, I started and scaled several 7 and 8 figure career coaching businesses myself and consulted with 2 career coaching businesses that are now doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or just building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Career Coaching Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Rajan Dodo, and today I'm excited to be joined by Martin. Martin is a career coach, resume and LinkedIn expert, an interview strategist with One Consulting, and originally he's from Germany. Martin rebuilt his career from scratch after moving to Canada. And we were just talking a little bit about that and basically gaining deep experience in leadership, continuous improvement, and coaching. After the pandemic, he reinvented himself again, blending career coaching and recruiting to help professionals land their dream jobs. Let's dive into his inspiring journey and insights. Welcome to the show, Martin. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Hey, Region, pleasure to be here today. Thank you for the invitation and the opportunity.
Yeah, my pleasure is all mine. Martin, tell me a little bit more about what inspired you to become a career coach.
I think the really roots of for that is I really enjoy, love to help people and to see them succeed. I think you need to have that kind of as a fundament to make things happen in any coaching business. I was very early throughout leadership experience that I had in Germany and also here in Canada. I'm in Canada since about 17 years. I have been holding multiple leadership positions, and I was really kind of slightly directed into coaching by coaching individual co-workers, right? Really helping them being successful. Coaching, started coaching communication training, right? How do we want to interact with each other? That was always part of what I've been doing, starting huddles in the morning with teams so that everybody knew what was the day look like, what are we working on. And I got the opportunity from an RV manufacturer in Canada where I worked as a continuous improvement coach, and they actually funded my black belt journey to become a lean black belt. They invested that. I got training with the Dua Center of Excellence, which is a big name in Canada. And from that moment on, coaching was part of my daily life. I started with that journey in 2013. I completed my black belt in 2017. So it's about almost 8 years. It was summer, I think in July of 2017. That's when I graduated with a black belt. And a big part in that moment started with coaching individuals on all levels, but also I worked a lot with leadership. And the beginning of the really coaching was then going into leadership. I founded a continuous improvement steering committee with this RV manufacturer that involved all levels of employees up to the CEO or the general manager. And that was a really big learning curve for me to speak with these people, to see the different approaches, the different strategies you need to use. And that was really a big, success stone in my career where I had two incredible mentors. Number one was the coach of the Dua Center of Excellence. His name is Rod Smith. He was a big career advisor and coach for me, and also the general manager of this RV manufacturing company, Ryan Elias. He helped me quite a bit being successful as well. And these two became big mentors in my early years when I officially started then with continuous improvement coaching in that company. So that's really how I started. I worked then at a few other companies in continuous improvement coaching directly. And I eventually got hired by the Duha Center of Excellence. When they train somewhere, they're not allowed to hire people right away, right? But the coach really said to me, Martin, I've trained 10,000 of people, and you really stood out from me from the very first moment, and I wanted to hire you at one point. And he gave me an opportunity, and that's when really my personal growth and the business really scaled. I traveled then all over Canada and Europe. I was working for a very big oil and gas industry. Names one is Parkland. They are operating in North America, Jamaica, and down south. And I also worked for British Petroleum as a consultant with the Doha Center of Excellence. So I traveled quite a bit. I was really involved in coaching and a lot of leadership coaching as well, because it was then creating really the mindset, the continuous improvement time, and the culture within the leadership, because that's where it starts, right? If leadership doesn't support that, it's pretty tough to do it. And yeah, then the pandemic hit, and all of a sudden I couldn't travel anymore. There was completely from one day to the other. I was in Aberdeen at that time, in Scotland, training for British Petroleum. And within a couple of days, we got called, okay, they're closing the airport. All coaches have to go back. We're closing the office. So get back to where you live. We're done here for the moment. We don't know when you can come back, type of thing, right? So that forced me back home. And yeah, I think really my passion was born, and I wanted to do this further in this moment. And yeah, I wanted to do this my life job. I wanted to help people, and I wanted to be in the coaching environment. That's basically the starting of how that all kicked off.
Hmm. So when you got back home right after COVID, and then started doing this on your own privately, how does that look like? How does the journey look like right after until today?
Mhm. So, first of all, I really enjoyed 2 months off because I've never been unemployed in my life. I work since I'm 15, besides school, besides high school. So it was summer. I got laid off because the whole team got laid off. Then nobody could travel. Everybody thought at the beginning, yeah, it's a 2 week thing, but it didn't turn out like to be 2 weeks. So whole team was laid off. I was the newest member. They told me right away, we're hiring back by seniority, so we don't know when you're going to come back. At the beginning, they said, yeah, it's probably 2 to 3 months till you're back. So I thought, I'm going to be home this summer and make the most of it. I made a move from Manitoba to Ottawa. I had a long-term relationship and long-distance relationship with my wife. We haven't been married by then, but I only saw her on weekends, flying in, spending the weekend, and then flying somewhere else. And we decided to use that time for me to make the move from Manitoba to Ottawa then. And I really enjoyed the summer first. But after 2 months and then talking with the company and saying, yeah, it doesn't look good. We haven't even hired one person back yet. We still don't know how to do this. That's that's when I remembered something that one of my mentors taught me, who was actually not the two of one. It was another person who actually promoted me into the first leadership role in Canada. Um, and he said to me, Martin, if you're ever at a point where nobody wants to hire you or the situation is not there that you can be hired, this was the one. You need to hire yourself. And I remember that. And I said, okay, that's great. Great advice. How do I do this? I've never been self-employed, never had my own business. I actually did not know what to do, right? So my first approach was I was in the middle of completing my Scrum Master certification that I started with British Petroleum, and I've also started my PMP as Agile Certified Practitioner certification, which requires quite a bit of hours. It's 3,500 hours, and I didn't have enough hours. So I first seeked and really looked for companies in the area. I joined a group of entrepreneurs in Ottawa in the area, and I offered my service for free. I just wanted to get a foot in the door, actually, and complete my Scrum Master certification and the Agile Certified Practitioner certification with PMP. And I offered my service for free because I thought right now people don't have money, and I really wanted to desperately get back to work and do something. I'm not the type of person who can sit too long. So I found actually two companies who offered to utilize my service. And these were immigration agencies. One was a startup, the other one was a little bit more established, but still in the early stages. And said, okay, throw things at me. How can I help you, right? And then I developed for both immigration agencies training plans, how to train immigrants coming to Canada, and to help them find a job. So I developed training plans for them. I really created a complete course on doing these things. I probably did a good job. I got hired from both companies part-time. They didn't have enough money and the funds to invest in full-time employees. So I said, okay, now's the time. I'm going to just call my business Star Six Agency. And then I started up, and these were the first two contracts I had. And I worked then, and I realized, helping people finding a job, I don't really understand a lot about recruiting, actually. So it would be a good opportunity for me to learn about recruiting more, which I then did. I became a registered professional recruiter in Canada. I'm part of the association in Canada since early 2021. And I went through real education. You needed to show hiring bias free and so on. So I really got deep involved. I got connected with a lot of people as part of the association. I learned people. I learned from very small to very large companies. And I found that very interesting that I can bring this inside information to people coming here to Canada to understand this better. I also started to expand my business a little bit, and I got a contract recruiting with a US company. It's one of the big players in the fitness industry. They're selling supplements, and they're on their way to become probably one of the biggest in the world right now. I started with them when they were not super large. I think they had about 4 million. And when I finally got my contract there, they were up to 60 million. That was within 2.5 years. And I really learned a lot about the CEO, how to scale things, how to have automations in place to understand these things. And I was part of revamping the HR business. I helped with it. I had a really, really great manager working with me. She's really awesome. We're still connected, and we're still emailing once in a while and see how things are going. Really, really great team there. And it was tough to leave, but the pay was not the greatest. That's why I kind of decided back then that I need to move forward, need to make a little bit more money. And at that point, I also got connected with Consulting, which is basically my bread and butter today. I do a lot for Consulting. Even before I ended up on the payroll, um, I started following Jonathan and Jerry. I really thought they're doing great things, was rooting for the underdog. I wanted to do the same. I felt like my mission in life is the same. I wanted to be part of this. So I followed them, made comments. I started reviewing resumes, right? I helped people with interview preparation, which I learned quite a bit about on my journey there as well. And it worked out quite nicely. And I started part-time working at some points when recruiting was very low. I was full-time there, and then a little bit back and forth with the hours because I never wanted to give up my own business. But yeah, consulting is probably the big player with me right now, where I really enjoy working. I've also utilizing my continuous improvement background. I'm also hired for a couple of hours to do business improvements from within, and training developments for other service providers and coaches within the business. So that's basically how I completely pivoted my career with still the core of coaching and teaching others as a business. I really enjoy that.
Wow, thanks for sharing the big picture on this. I really enjoyed the whole story on this and how I think a lot of coaches are gonna resonate with with the part that like COVID has been like a similar situation for everybody, um, and I think that it's been difficult, and it's also been the point because I've interviewed so many coaches. It's been the point where they decided to uh, hire themselves at that point, just like in your case. Um, have you, you mentioned that you work with immigrants moving to Canada and help them find a job, navigate the job market. Is there a specific industry or a specific demographic, or is it any immigrant?
So it was being in Ottawa, in the capital here, made it easier because there's a lot of organizations and immigration agencies, as a lot of people, at least temporarily, land here for a little bit of time. Um, and that made it a little bit easier. There was a lot of people around here who were doing this type of business, right, with immigration. I never got involved into all the laws and all these, what they need to do exactly. I was doing that more from the part of supporting them to be employable in Canada from that aspect on. But yeah, there's quite a bit of business here. Unfortunately, business is really tough as well, right? And there's a lot of different immigration agencies, and not all of them surviving, right? So there's a big um, come and go as well. One of the ones I used to work with at the beginning, they have great ideas, great leaders and founders in there actually, but um, it did just not work out at the beginning because they were not able to scale their business, right? They had one key player providing them with clients, and that source dried up, right? It's very often a thing of money, right? Who can do it cheaper? Unfortunately, I saw that company is not here anymore, right? And that's quite a few. I had a few individual immigration agents I worked with. I reached out sometimes for certain areas, and uh, there's a lot of them not there anymore. So scaling is a big part, right? If you're not able to do it, you may not be successful long term, right?
Have you, throughout this time, have you considered trying to find clients yourself as opposed to getting clients from this company, which in a way you're kind of like an independent contractor, right?
Yeah, I tried that, but I think that's my downside. I'm not good at that. I don't actually know exactly what best strategies to use to scale a business, what to do, where to go, who to trust. Um, so that was a big part for me. Yes, I have some personal clients, but they come through the word of mouth, basically, right? People who heard about me, right, who seen the presence on LinkedIn, for example, reaching out, right? So I do have a lot of requests, actually resume writing or interview prep requests on LinkedIn. I would say I get 2 to 3 per week, roughly. But very often these things also dry up when they then hear what the price for things are, right? And it's not easy. There's a lot of preparation and all involved. You need to make sure that you make some money and you can't sell it for free, right? And I understand some of them don't have much money when they come in or from the countries they're coming, right? But I have declined a lot of them because there was no money for me to make, right? So I don't really know what's the best way to get more of them.
Yeah. So you'd say currently most of these people that are coming independently to you, independently of the company, are coming from LinkedIn and they're reaching out to you, but it's just that they are not qualified in a way to work with you due to their limited budget, um, and your pricing as well. Would you say that that has been kind of like the main challenge when it comes to, I mean, apart from you doing the marketing side of it, for the people that come independently, you would say that one of the biggest challenges is that a lot of these people are not in your don't have the budget basically to work with you right now.
So I can say very confidently the only people I worked with were really professionals at a very high level, and they had the budget. These were the ones I actually accepted. With the others, usually it did not work out. Um, I mean, there's a bunch of things. I mean, you need to have your margin, right, from doing things as well. And I feel I'm at a point because of the regular incoming clients from the big business that I can choose a little bit who I'm going to take, right? Who I'm going to take on as well. And that makes it a little bit easier. But for sure, you have way more margin if you find them yourself. But I am not good at that. I think I don't know how to utilize LinkedIn better, I believe, to to make that all happen. So I'm doing what I know, what I love to do for a company. And now we're sharing basically the margin.
Do you do you have a goal that you're working towards in the next 1 to 3 years with your coaching business? Are you thinking of expanding in a way, meaning expanding by working with other companies as an independent contractor, or either even thinking about expanding on your own, or maybe learning how to do your marketing or how to do it independently? Because these are two different kind of like business models. You could expand either way, either with working as a coach for a company, or working for yourself.
Yeah, I do have some different plans for the next, I would say, 2 to 3 years for sure. There is something that I can't really talk about right now, something that's going on behind the scenes about me acquiring a part of the business. Um, but I don't know if that's going to work out at this point. But for sure, my long-term plans within the next 2 to 3 years are for sure um, to have more clients. And ideally, you want to have more clients on your own because that's what brings more margin, right? That is the thing. Um, I really want to have my fixed income of my own clients and then do whatever time available from another set of business. That would be okay, a mixture of this. And that's why I have started some conversations. Actually, I was approached by a company um, about something that, like I said, that's nothing is written up and it's too early, the stages that I can't talk about this, but scaling is something I really want to do because I'm putting in a lot of hours every day. I'm working 12 hours probably at least every day on average. I mean, sometimes not when I have something that's a good thing, but then I have to make up on the weekend on a certain way, right, to do something. So, and my goal is to limit the hours I'm actually working by either increase the margin, right, or have another way to scale things, including automations and something. So that's for sure on the horizon.
Mm-hmm. And um, in order for you to scale further, what would you say is the biggest bottleneck or the biggest challenge right now?
I would say finding clients and finding your own clients, and also, like, I mean, you're very limited to when you work as a one-person team, basically, right? Um, so it also would have to include that I want to train others and outsource part of this. Um, but I really have a very high standard on training, so I would not just give somebody something. I want them to be as good as myself or better. Um, that's also a part. It's not very easy to find people as well to share and source things with, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wanted to ask you also a final question. And in your case, since you've been working mostly with um, companies as an independent contractor, um, for other career coaches who are looking at who are going to be looking at this episode and want to learn more on how to do that, would you have any advice to give to these career coaches who are looking to scale in a similar way that you have done, meaning um, scale but only on the coaching part as an independent contractor?
I think the best way to go about is really being an active member on LinkedIn. I would say everything came through LinkedIn basically, and I'm not like super active even. But having a big name in your title, a company that is known for coaching, that has thousands and thousands of customers, and I work with people in a lot of different countries there for consulting. So quite sure. I would say 14 or 15 different countries I work with them, right? And it basically, in all the continents, there's people starting to come in from these streams. So, um, and how I started was being present on LinkedIn, right? Showing them what I know, responding to questions, to comments, giving feedback, right? That's, I think, the way to be hired in the future. if you're looking to get hired for yourself as a consultant, but also as an individual person. Just sending a resume and hoping for the best is not going to crack it anymore these days. And I know that personally from sourcing for companies as a recruiter. You're using Boolean searches to find person with the best keywords matching, but you also have then out of these 50, 60 that you identify, you're observing them things. So what are they actually doing? How active are they on LinkedIn? What's their expertise? And if you want to be hired as an individual or as a contractor, my biggest advice is be active on LinkedIn. And active doesn't mean on Sunday for 8 hours. It means every day, and it can be 15, 20, 30 minutes, right? It doesn't have to be a long time. Go through posts, like, support some posts, reshare posts, write comments on something that interests you in your area of expertise, right? Create posts the same way of something that you're trying to look into. And I don't have a lot of followers. My LinkedIn is not where it could be, but it's also even just with a couple of hundred people engaging with my posts, I've generated through consistency enough interest that some companies looked at this and said, well, that sounds interesting to us. We want to work with this guy. Because since I became self-employed and I do this with my own business, that's the only way I found jobs. And I haven't sent a resume to anybody, right? I mean, sometimes it's like, okay, what are the dates? Send me your resume, but things are kind of a done deal already, right? But now they want to have a little bit of a rundown. But I do think as a career coach and also as a consultant, resumes will phase out more and become more a part of the past. It will still be there as a kind of a summary. What did I do? But I don't think it's going to be the main driver anymore to be hired.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the time we spent today, Martin. It was a pleasure having you on the podcast and learning from your perspective and the way that you've developed your own business. Thank you so much for coming. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you very much, Regin. That was really great talking with you today. Thank you.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This conversation was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to 7 and 8 figures without burning out. To learn more about Purple Circle, our community, and how we can help you grow your business, visit joinpurplecircle.com.